into the room. I'm about 3 feet tall on a good day, and people catch their eye with that, and that intrigues them. And then I bring out an energy that doesn't really match my structure. Most people think that somebody 3 feet tall in a wheelchair would need help, that they would, require assistance and maybe be a little shy, a little bit afraid of their own shadow. And I come in there with an energy of, hey, how can I help you? And let's rock this world. And so it's fun to be in this container. It always has been something that I've been working on to find what are the awesome advantages to this container. I would say my life is very purpose-driven. My life is centered around my business, and more specifically, the business of my life purpose, which is to rid the world of insecurity. And I'm happily married, and I can tell you that I made it very clear to my wife, and she agrees, that there is nothing more important than my life purpose. It comes above our marriage, above everything else, because if I am living my life purpose, I am the best man for her that I can be. I am the best business entrepreneur. I'm the best person in health and wellness of my own body. I find that my life purpose is my alarm clock. I don't set an alarm clock. I never have in my life. My purpose wakes me up in the morning, and it keeps me up until, really, really late at night at all times. And even when things are difficult, because I'm so life purpose driven with the rid the world of insecurity thinking, I can't be stopped. And the last thing that I would say that my life is like, that maybe it's not common, which is I'm the CFO of my family, my home, which is the chief fun officer, which means I'm always buying silly toys. Like, I have a flying shark, and we have lasers, we have fog machines, we have helicopters that are radio controlled. I'm always buying things that make my housemates and my wife laugh. And, that's the thing. I find that if you keep your tribe, the people around you, always intrigued with what's going to happen next with you in a positive way, life is really exciting.
Well, I was telling you before we started, I was showing our producer here, Richard Del Maestro, the video on YouTube of your dance party, which has been seen now by almost 1 million people. And then there have been others that have danced along with you by filming themselves and loading it up to YouTube as well.
And what's interesting about that video is, I've been, featured on some of the best media outlets, now Success Magazine, which was, by the way, on my bucket list. And I can tell you that nothing has come close in visibility as dancing in my office for 3 minutes to a silly song and making a goof of myself. That thing has gotten me more visibility, more business, more public exposure than practically all the media I've done combined.
Well, I just encourage any of our listeners who have not seen it yet to go to YouTube and check it out. So, Sean, tell us about the point in your life when you stopped seeing yourself as who you are physically and your disorder as a burden and started seeing it more as a gift. Was there a moment?
There certainly was, and I credit that moment to my parents, and specifically my mom, because when I was younger, I had this bone disorder, still do, but when I was younger, the bone disorder was more intensified. I would fracture very easily. Something as simple as sneezing would break a rib. Coughing too hard could break collarbone. And it was Halloween. I was in 4th grade, and I was out of my wheelchair on the floor in the living room, and I was rolling around on the floor with my costume on, and I was so excited and enthusiastic about the day, and not because of the party or the candy or the costume wearing. I loved it because it was the one day of the year that I got to disappear. And when I was a kid, I just wanted to be able to put on a baseball cap and have people not look at me. It wasn't until later in life that I saw that as an advantage. And so I was rolling around. I was looking forward to this day because it's the one day that everybody got dressed up and I got to blend in. So as I'm rolling around, I catch my left leg on the corner of the door, and I bend it back and I snap it at the femur. And I don't know if you've ever broken a bone, but I can tell you that it feels like somebody's stabbing you and twisting a knife in almost like a vice grip feeling. And I was just filled with rage. This fourth grader felt so overwhelmed, and my mom comes in the room because I was screaming in pain, and she tries to calm me down. Nothing's working. She would play this little game where she'd say, "Sweetie, tell me about what was your favorite part about our last vacation?" Except that day I was furious. I didn't want to play any more games. And she could see that in my eyes. And so she proceeded to ask me a question that forever changed the course of my life. She said, "Sean, is this going to be a gift or a burden in your life?" And I gotta tell you, in that moment, I thought she was crazy. I mean, how could this be a gift? But her and I experienced something magical. It was like this warm wind of wisdom just kind of circled my body. And in fourth grade, I got clarity on my life that most people never get, which is I love my life amidst my pain. And my life purpose is how to help other people love their life amidst their pain. And it didn't make the pain physically go away, but it gave it a reason. It gave it a purpose. And when you find purpose to your pain, you have drive on your hands. And when you have drive on your hands, you cannot be stopped.
I like that. It didn't make it go away, but it gave it purpose and gave it a reason. I got a chance to see you present at the Invisible Children Fourth Estate event last year, and you were extraordinary. Now, you talked about trying to help rid people of insecurity. So talk about your life purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my mentors said, "Sean, you need to find your catalyzing statement." And I was like, "What the heck does that mean?" And he said, "Sean, like John F. Kennedy said, I'm going to put a man on the moon and bring him home safely." And then all of a sudden, billions of dollars and hundreds of jobs later, thousands of jobs were assembled to create NASA, basically, and put a man on the moon. And that was because it came from one statement. And so he said, "What's your one statement?" And so I tried out many statements until finally I said something that shook me to the core, as well as my mentor and all my mentors, which is, "I'm here to rid the world of insecurity." And it's been an incredible journey because I found that technically, insecurity is not something that we can ever get rid of. It's something that we need to stay ahead of. So it's like saying, I want to get rid of germs or bacteria in the body. No, that everything has a purpose. You just need to stay ahead of it and know how to influence it properly so that you're in control of it as opposed to it being in control of you.
Wow, that's great. So now another big thing of yours, Sean, is to help people get off their butt. And that is a butt with one T. So break this down for us so we understand, what you mean here, since you aren't talking necessarily about our rear ends.
So I was working with a friend of mine who's a branding expert one day, and we were talking about all the different messages that I have, and we needed to boil it down and make it very clear to people, what does Sean Stevenson really teach? And that day was when I said, I really teach people how to take a stand for their life. And in order to take a stand, you got to get off your butt. And then light bulb went on and I said, but the butt is B-U-T. And that's the butt excuses, the butt fears, and the butt insecurities. So let me give you a little more depth on that. So the butt fears are like every time you say, but what if? But what if I fail? But what if I look bad? What if I disappoint my friends? But what if I get rejected? Excuses are but I don't have but I don't have the time, but I don't have the money, but I don't have the energy, but I don't have the degrees, the resources, the contacts. And then there's the but insecurities, but I'm not. And that's the one that I really love going after. But I'm not tall enough, but I'm not pretty enough, but I'm not smart enough. It's believing that you were given less than another human being. And I can tell you, Darren, that I don't believe that anybody got more or less. I think we get different stuff in life, and how we interpret it depends on where our life ends up. So you could say, well, Sean, I got a better body than you. Not necessarily, because if I'm hitting the gym and I'm exercising and I'm giving myself the right nutrients, yeah, I'm in a wheelchair, but I'm feeling energized. I'm using my body to the best of my abilities. I just got a body that is different. And when I roll into a room, I don't need to spike my hair or look like I fell into a tackle box because I got so many face piercings to get attention. I just show up. And so my body brings a different advantage than somebody else's.
I get this genuine sense, Sean, that you truly believe that you're sexy. I mean, and it exudes from you, and you say it, and I believe it. That you feel that
well,
you are
should.
sexy, and you talk to us about your marriage and just that whole. I mean, maybe I don't know whether how conscious you are about this that you exuded, but just tell us a little bit about that, because if there's anybody that somebody else looking at you would think, how can you? How
do I get that from them? Yeah, of course. So I'm 3 feet tall and in this wheelchair, so I kind of look like this hybrid of Teddy Ruxpin and Yoda, and I get that. And yet that's an interpretation that, truthfully, I see that confidence and a sense of play and humor are the sexiest, most attractive energies that a man can bring into the world. And so to me, I think that there's good-looking structures, facial symmetry, body symmetry, muscle types. I think we can't discard what somebody looks like physically, but I think that there's something deeper than good looks. I think there's also attractiveness. And attractiveness is an energy. It's an aura. It's a charisma that is brought through a person. And what's really amazing about the human mind is that after a few moments, we no longer look at a person's structure. We only respond to their energy. And if their energy is, hey, check this out. This looks good, doesn't it? And it's not done in a cheesy, I think I'm better than you way. It's done in a self-assured, confident way. It is so infectious. In fact, I think most people are humble to a fault. I think most people are afraid to really stretch their own self-worth and sexiness because they think, oh, well, it's not a good idea to find yourself sexy. Why not? I mean, if you don't feel like you have to put somebody else down, if you can find yourself sexy without somebody else having to be at a loss, well, then I call that solid self-esteem. And so, I have a beautiful wife who is intelligent and confident and a leader in her own rights. And I can tell you that I drew her into my world and had her fall in love with me because of my energy and that attractiveness that I bring.
Yeah, it's amazing. So you talked about helping us get up off our butts and take a stand. So give us the steps. What would we do if somebody says, okay, I'm ready. I want to get up off my butt. What do I do?
Sure. Well, the 3 things that I would tell them to do right away is get the right tools. Because most of us, we're trying to put a nail into a wall with a screwdriver. We're trying to use a jackhammer to pull out a thorn that is in our side. We're trying to get certain tasks completed with the wrong tools. We got to get the right tools. So you got to surround yourself with the right books, audio programs, magazines such as Success. The books that I have come across in my life are very critical at getting me to where I'm at. So, like, for instance, anytime there's something that I want, whether it's health, wealth, or relationship based, I immerse myself with the best tools because I want to know, what am I missing? Because the biggest thing that people cry about is, I don't know how, but I don't know how. And really the how is so right in the library closest to your house. So that's first thing. Second thing is you got to have the right people. And that's broken into 2 groups. Let's call them 3, actually. They're friend-tors, mentors, and advocates. A friend-tor is somebody that you really spend a lot of time with, that you open up your soul to, that is a positive influence on you, and could easily be a mentor to you, but they're more of a friend-tor because you have a personal relationship with them. Then there's a mentor. A mentor is somebody that maybe you don't go fishing with, maybe you don't spend lots of time with, but there's somebody you check in with. Maybe there's somebody you pay, like a coach or a therapist or a guide, somebody that is in your life that has gone before you and got what you have and will teach you how to get it. And lastly, there are the advocates. And I have 20 advocates in my life. These are the people that are my friend-tor status, also my mentor status, but also they are advocates of my success. They will open up doors for me. They will create contacts. They will work for me for free because they believe so strongly in what I'm bringing to the world that they want to make sure that I am succeeding at my life mission. And so these advocates are people that I reach out to quarterly. They're people at least quarterly that I mail a personal package to them with a personalized letter and a book that I just recently read, or a video that I recently watched, or a news clipping of an article that really inspired me, whatever it may be. I knock on these people's doors quarterly to say, hey, what can I do to add value to your life? And thank you so much for adding value to my life. And lastly, I would tell a person listening right now that you need to create a WLWL, which is a when life works list. Look back in your life and figure out what are the little steps that you take that when you've taken them, your life worked. Do you have to get up at 6 in the morning and work out? Do you have to drink, 45 ounces of water a day? Do you need to pray or meditate? Do you need to go out into nature? Do you need to sit with a best friend and ask them how their day is? What do you need to do to really have your life work? And I have like 14 things on my when life works list. I don't get them all done in a day, but if I get 4 to 5 things off of my when life works list done, I'm unstoppable. No army can stop Sean Stevenson from achieving what he wants in that day when he's on his when life works list.
Out of everything, Sean, that you've learned through your life, through struggles and triumphs, share with us what you feel has been the biggest lesson that you've learned overall.
Well, it's something I learned from my wife. And that is trust the process. And trust whatever process. If you're making a project, writing a book, if you're starting a family, you're getting married, if you're going back to school, whatever it may be, trust the process. Have the patience to know that everything's unfolding at the time and speed that is perfect. And if you want to increase it, that's fine. If you want to decrease it, fine. But there's no wrong way to live your life. I'll tell you, Darren, I'm going to tell you something really bold, and that is I like to see people fail. And the reason why I like to see people fail is because they're doing something with their life, and because they're closer to what they want, because they're going to learn how to tweak it, because they're going to get closer and closer until finally they get what they want. You know what scares me far worse than seeing somebody fail? Seeing someone on their couch doing nothing with their life. I think apathy and lethargy and just fear of taking a risk and looking bad, that's far more dangerous than failing.
So somebody who has not been caught sitting on the couch, you've done a lot with your life. Share with us what you feel is your greatest accomplishment thus far. What are you most proud of?
So I'm going to break that into 3 things. Number 1 is my marriage to my soul match. I told her that she was my soulmate, and she rolled her eyes and said, "That's so cliche, Sean." So I came up with another word, soul match, and we say that has many definitions, but we feel like a perfect match together. Second was completing my doctorate. Becoming a doctor was something that took 24 years of schooling. We count from kindergarten all the way to the completion of the doctorate, and I wanted to quit so many times. And I stuck with it thanks to my friends and family and my own life purpose calling me. And lastly, publishing my last book, Get Off Your Butt, because it got rejected by so many publishers so many times. I had to cycle through so many literary agents. People weren't seeing the vision. How's somebody going to want to learn from a 3-foot-tall man in a wheelchair? They're not going to be able to relate. And I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing until finally somebody saw it and believed in it and made it happen.
So then, curious about this, Sean, as we wrap things up, I'd love for you to tell us, what's your biggest goal for the coming year? I mean, this issue is in the December issue, which will be on newsstands in November, so we're peeking into the year 2013. What's going to be your biggest goal going into that new year?
Sure. So I have a love and a passion for film and creating movies, because I find that when people come into a motivational seminar, or they put in an audio program, they're on that defense of, I may not do anything with this. But when they go into a movie theater, or they open up YouTube, or they put a DVD in their player, they sit back and they just absorb the film. and they're not on that defense. And so I've really seen that one of the ways that I'm going to rid the world of insecurity is through film. So this coming year, my project is I'm launching a company called Sean Films, and we're releasing viral videos, less than 10, mostly 5-minute videos that really get to the heart of human spirit and get to the heart of our pain and problems. Through Sean Films, we're going to unleash empowerment cinematically around the world.
We look forward to that, and I'll release one of your films on my blog as this issue goes to newsstands so that people can get a glimpse of that. So one final question for you then, Sean. Anybody listening to this that feels like they do need to stand up a little taller and make a greater stand for their life, what's one thing that they could do starting today to change the trajectory of their life going forward?
So I've been in the personal growth industry for 16 years, and I've studied so much, and I've applied so much. And if I just had to boil down the one thing that I would tell that friend, it's create your When Life Works list and stick to it. Because the When Life Works list is stronger than any coaching, any therapy, any personal growth book, because it's your working document. It's what you need to do. It's customized to what has been successful for you. And it will have to have components of improving your health, your wealth, and your relationships. But find out in your past, when your life was in flow, when things